What's popping? Brothers and sisters, we're back at it again. Spiritual gumbo. He who is bitten. Now, when I was a child, Pastor Ivory Crittenden, Korean War veteran, used to say, "He who is bit and does not bite back shall be eaten." Now, I want to get to a very peculiar thing within the scripture. We're not going to go too far into the story today, so much as actually start to recap and understand who and what we're dealing with at certain junctions and why certain people who claim to be these people are not even in play yet. They're not even actual characters. Their numbers, their numbers aren't there. They're not physically present. You understand what I'm saying? Um, I'll, I'll put it to you like this. When we get to the part where Moses is getting ready to leave up out of Egypt with the people, and that's a ways out from now. But when we finally get there, we're gonna start reading. I'm gonna go into real life history for you, and I'm gonna read about the first instances of what we call the Sea Peoples, and then instances of individuals before them, and then we're gonna talk about these groups that out of nowhere seemingly post and post and post onto the earth. Right. Innumerable. And we're going to talk about how they were amalgamated, assimilated into the indigenous, native, and original bloodlines of the earth. Now, right now, what we're going to distinguish is we're going to distinguish two things. Number one, we're going to read right here, verse 10, chapter 89, book of Enoch, and it says, "And they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds." Okay? Stop right there. We're gonna read the rest of this out. Beasts of the field and birds. These are not genetically the same people. At some point, they become different. And so when you can appreciate, we're not talking about something that we can't prove. We're talking about when you can sit down and read history, i.e., the Mongoloids. They came up out of nowhere, post into the land that you call China, post in waves, y'all, and murdered everything in their path. And now they want to be peaceful. See, that's something that the aggressor practices after they've thoroughly dominated. But they didn't come up on those terms. So you can't ask for those terms. Do you understand what I'm saying? A man that takes a woman unrighteously as his wife can't ask her to love him the way that she loves or loved whoever before that. It's not gonna happen. King David found out the hard way how that is. Yeah. And we're not talking about Solomon. We're talking about Saul's daughter before that, the one who died without children because she was angry that he was dancing around with her shirt off and all that. Again, though, David's ways would come back to bite the entire tribe of Judah, not just him, but the entire tribe in the backside. But we'll work our way around to certain things, but I have to speak on it so that way people understand. Everyone that we're dealing with is not of the same genetic strata. So that there arose different genera, carrying on. lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyenas, wild boars, foxes, squirrels, swine, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, and ravens. And among them was born a white bull. And they began to bite one another. Stop right there. Again, we have to explain and explore the genealogy of who we're dealing with. See, no matter what you say or think, at some point, you got to admit, not if I'm saying it, but whoever the Lord is, says, and let's quote this so that way I'm not taking liberties here. Chapter, give me a second. Let me see. That's right. Chapter 9. Or chapter 11. There we go. I'm thinking of a different part. And all the earth was one lip, verse 1 of chapter 11. And there was one language to all. And it came to pass, as they moved from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and dwelt there. And a man came and said to his neighbor, Come, let us make bricks, and bake them with fire. And the brick was to them for stone, and their mortar bitumen. And they said, Come, let us build for ourselves a city and tower, whose top shall be to heaven. And let us make to ourselves a name before we are scattered abroad upon the face of all the earth. Again, we're just distinguishing that these people, the earth is one piece. It's not what it is now. I know y'all have a hard time. I know y'all want to think that that happened over the period of millions of years and a plate tectonic shifted and moved and blah, blah, blah. Nigga, please. It was a singular event. Let us read. And the Lord came down to see the city, verse 5, and the tower, which the sons of men built, not Gentiles, right? Not Gentiles, but the sons of men. While we're distinguishing this, is because does a lion not have sons? Does a tiger not have sons? Does a bear not have sons? Right. So when you say sons and then you distinguish that these are of men, it's so that way you understand that this is not some off-breed shoot of genealogy that is upon the earth. Again, we're going to distinguish this because we're going to read into the part where the kings go and kill the giants. I need people to understand this. If they were the same, there would be no need to distinguish any sort of difference. You don't say water and then water again. No, you'll be like, that's salt water, that's fresh water. Right. I don't know everything, but I know enough to know that people distinguish certain things differently. That being said, if they're going to try to tell you just before last verse, verse 31, chapter 10, these are the tribes of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, according to their nations. Of them were the islands of the Gentiles, and simply Gentiles scattered over the earth after the flood. So now again, if you were arguing or contending that one of the wives was a Gentile, well, first off, I don't believe that. No. The reason why I don't believe it is because this thing right here where it talks about the lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyenas, wild boars, foxes, squirrels, swines, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, and ravens. when you read about the years, and it says, and Sem begot Arphaxad, and Arphaxad begot Canaan, and Canaan begot Salah, right? And Salah begot Eber, right? Listen, during those changes of generations, these different sorts of genera are happening. How I know this? Again, because we're reading into chapter 11, and when it says, and the Lord said, behold, there is one race. What? One race is right now, if it's apples to apples, are Chihuahuas and Pit Bulls the same? Don't tell me they're both dogs. Are they the same? No. What about a humpback whale and a blue whale? What about a hammerhead shark and a great white? Just because you've classified something does not make it that. Number one, it's like the difference between a spirit and a soul, and the Most High God being the one who can truly discern that, ultimately. Not saying that the Christ and the high holy angels and the host of heaven can't see and can't know. I'm saying that the Most High God, it's his duty to know. Right. Now, that being said, he who is bitten. We're not going to get right into it about the angels having freak of nature children who go on to turn on man, eat all the acquisitions of men, and then turn on mankind and create the environment that we now live in. Of bloodlust, vampirism. See, this is why I didn't want to get too carried away into reading further into the story. I really wanted to just we got to talk about these things. Right there, again, let's just read this. What did my man say in verse 4? And they said, these are the men who are speaking, come, let us build to ourselves a city and tower. So it's not just a tower straight up. It's a city, y'all. The city has stores. It has all these things. This isn't built in one day. I know in people's hyperbolic filled minds, they like to believe that these events took place in a singular instance. It tells us that Noah built the ark over 100-year period. So people act like that 100-year period that Noah spent was just nothing. And then they're even faster to say the Bible's full of allegory and then try to say, well, the man didn't live as many years as that. It was something different. When they can't even appreciate, there was an environment that was brought upon the earth that was unnatural. Again, he who is bitten and does not bite back shall be eaten. Did man want to bite back in so many words? No, I don't think so. That's not the natural nature of man. But understand this, my people. The point that I'm making is so great so that way you can really appreciate what I'm about to say. King David was alive damn near 3,000 years ago, they thinking. Listen to my point. If King David was alive that long ago, what makes you think that those weren't black people doing all the things that Shaul led the people to do? Listen to me now. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't accuse the Gentile of introducing these ways to the people when the people already lived like that. They already were messed up like that. The Gentiles just accentuated the things and made them worse. Prime example, when the Mongoloids, the Huns, first pop onto the scene, they're killing everything. They're eating cats and dogs. And I need y'all to understand this. They're not skinning the animal or nothing. They're not gutting it or cleaning it out. One of the biggest issues that they had with Christianity and with Islam is that they didn't believe in wasting anything. So they would cook the intestines, everything they would cook. You know how nasty that is, y'all? That's disgusting. But that was their custom. Right. See what I'm saying? Like, and these are individuals who've been in power now for the last 2,000 years. And people don't understand that. In power or fighting for power, vying for it. But again, they post with these great numbers out of nowhere. Because they couldn't just come onto the earth and just take over. Not at the height of Cush, of Egypt, of Babylonia, right on. Not at the height of the Assyrian empires, which you could say is Babylonia, right on, right? Not at the height of any of those empires. This is why you don't hear about them till after all these groups have been greatly diminished and they've fallen off. And what did they do to them? Got this handy dandy pokey that I bought. It's beautiful too. It's a little plastic joint. I can't find it right now. But it's got like a tri-tipped end and a handle. And it's meant to do, business. But anyway, we'll just use this for example. What did they do? In the middle of the night, small weapons, some of them large, walked up on people while they were asleep, slit their throats, poked them in their ears with long shanks, killed them, and took over their empires, slaughtered people in the middle of the night. You don't think that you really believe that these dudes fought people and defeated them? They can't do it now. Again, if you don't see somebody do something now, there's no way they did it in the past. It's impossible. It's like movies where white boys are running around slaying dudes with swords and just getting down. They don't even move like that now. They don't even get down like that now. So what makes you believe that they were really getting down like that ever? Again, black people still get down. In a diminished state, we get down. So what makes you believe that I believe that we're the same as these individuals who are not even, again, check me out. We're not even bulls anymore. We're sheeps and rams, right? Some of us billy goats. Some of us are wild asses, black boars. Some of them might be white boars. Some of us are probably black sheep. Facts. And when I say that, I mean to say it as like, at some point, you stop reading about the sheep being white so much and them just being sheep. You see what I'm saying? But the first original sheep were right, were white. Righteous. They were right. They had a nature to them that was proper. That's what the white is discerning to. It's a purity to it. When you're born a certain way with a certain proclivity, that means that was always in you. This is why Esau could slight his birthright, because he was a black boar. Now again, he's explained as coming out red and hairy. So again, the description of the animal that he fits in the spirit realm is not the description of his physical presence on the earth. That is spectra. Now, we're not going to get too far carried away into the spectra, but we do have to understand The things I've been saying now for damn near 10, 11 years are the same things that I'm always going to say because they're the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I don't need to be right about nothing. The truth is the truth. I don't have to be right. You could be like, he's wrong. Okay, fine. Deny the truth. That's on you. Now, where were we? Where were we? Bam. So, vultures, kites, eagles, ravens. I'm thinking of the black mongoloid, the red mongoloid, the yellow mongoloid, and the pale skin mongoloid. I'm thinking about, when I hear the swine, when I hear all that, right? When I hear these different genomic structures, these different genotypes that create different phenotypes, aka physical appearances, that means that I'm understanding who they are. Now, when you want to say that, again, we're all the same, this is at a certain point. It tells us when the people were the same. This is after the flood. Now, we don't know in which generation the men started to build the tower, but we know which generation in which the Lord visited the earth. And that's the generation of one the sons of Eber. Give me 1 second. Peleg, there we go, or Peleg. Whatever you want to say, doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's all the same. Because at the end of the day, what happens is this. The people have to breed so much. And we're talking about these things are coming up out of the earth. There is no laws of Moses, people. None of that stuff is real. So sleeping with animals, sleeping with your sister, your mother, your father, whatever you think, all that shit goes. There are no laws that govern the earth at this time. There are no laws of like real life decency as to how to conduct yourself. No duh. This is why the Code of Hammurabi was such a big deal. People practiced slavery at that time. Abraham had slaves and servants, but he didn't treat them like dirt. I never got the idea that Abraham was in there whipping these niggas on the back. I never got that because they were his homeborn servants. Right on? Some of them, I'm thinking, were born where he was born. Not just in his house, but in the land of the Chaldees, the land of his nativity. Right. They can be mad about it. They can be sad about it. It's not going to change what is. Only until all the people are scattered on the earth. And that happens in verse 7. Come, and having gone, let us gone down. Verse 7 of chapter 11 to Genesis. And let us confound their tongue that they may not understand each the voice of his neighbor. And the Lord scattered them thence over the face of all the earth. And they left off building the city and the tower. How we know that this is an epic point in the he who was bitten phase is because now for sure the earth is opening up. So whoever's been chomping at the bits, I mean, like, you guys don't get it, do you? Like, they were down there in the middle of the earth for 1,000 years or better. Whoever escaped the flood topside, that's the only way you could have escaped and made it, is that you had to burrow into the earth. Right. How do you think that there's places that look Like, you're like, damn, somebody had to have done this purposely. And it looks like it's been like this for who knows how long. No shite. Let me ask you guys a question real quick. If, and only if, you were a dog, you picked the dog. Would you want to be compared to all the other dogs? No. Why not? See what I'm saying? That's a rhetorical rebuttal to the answer that I know is in most people's minds. No. If I'm a Malamute, I want to be a Malamute. I want to be compared to other Malamutes, not to a Bull Mastiff or to a damn Terrier or something, right? Or to a Shih Tzu, right? I need to be compared to a licensed dog of stature and quality. Go figure. So when you remove that in this, now we're talking about gerbils and hamsters, right? At some point, you have to recognize we're speaking on qualities of who they are. Who's ever seen a raven or an eagle? Kite, vulture, falcons. I've seen swines. I've seen squirrels. I've seen foxes. I've seen wild boars. Haven't seen a hyena up close. Seen dogs and I've seen wolves up close. I've never seen a lion or a tiger outside of a zoo. Right on. The only one of them I've never seen like up close in person, like, like even if it's in an enclosure, is a hyena. I don't think I've ever seen a hyena at any zoo. On the screen for sure. But the point that I'm making is that have you ever watched how they do things? Have you ever watched their demeanors? Have you ever paid attention to how they conduct themselves? They're not all the same. This is why you have people who conduct themselves differently in different realms of life because they don't have that same structure that another person has on a spiritual level. That's okay. What's not okay is for people to lump things together and to conflate them, i.e., using terms like, oh, they're all sheep, because they're not all sheep. And that confuses the people that really are sheep. Sheep are stubborn animals, extremely stubborn, and don't give a damn about nothing that nobody's talking about. They do what they want to do. That's why they need a shepherd. Right. Without the shepherd, you would need wild rams in the group, like who are like rambunctious and are going to kill predators. Right. Rupture their spleens. You know what I'm saying? Like literally like lay down their life just so that way these dudes can't come back. Because it changes everything. But again, he who was bitten and does not bite back shall be eaten. That is a fact. That is a real truth. And a person who doesn't understand that little thing will be the one who gets devoured. It won't be me, because I'm going to bite back. I know that I have to bite back. I know that I don't have a choice but to bite back. See what I'm saying? I know that I don't have a choice but to engage at that level. What I'm saying is this, y'all. When Isaac, the last bull, was accosted, did he stop digging wells? Did he stop digging? Did he say, no, I'm done digging wells because they put earth and rocks into this well and blocked it off? No. You know what he did? He dug other ones. When they bit him, he bit back. He was so great at what he was doing, the king of that land came with his head dude in the army, right on, his chief of his army and his best friend. Right, the same way he came at his dad, but see his father, they really didn't want to mess with, because Abraham was a real life killer. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Isaac wasn't, But he didn't move like Abraham did. Abraham, like, Abraham really got down. You know what I'm saying? And again, for him to understand his mortality versus the Egyptians, rather than when he went up against the kings who kidnapped, not even say kidnapped, who captured all the cavalry when his nephew Lot was one of the cavalry, right? Abraham went up against these dudes and was not afraid. So it tells you something for a person like him to be aware of his mortality versus the Egyptians. Again, when Abraham was perceivably bit, he bit back. He who is bitten and does not bite back shall be eaten. Yeah. Yeah. I can't even talk to y'all about Jacob yet. Because when I get to compare his sheepish mentality compared to the bull-like mentality that his father before him and his father's father before him had, right on, you'll understand what I'm saying. See, this is one of those ones where it's a review, but it's not a review. It's a reflection too. Because people need to look at the things that they're doing you need to look and see what you're doing. You need to look at yourself and say, okay, what am I doing that I can do different? How am I living? Right? That could be different. X, Y, Z, blase, blase. Because until you give thought to who you are, and understand, are you biting or are you biting back? Right? Are you the one doing the biting? Are you the one who's initiating the issues? Or are you simply responding to the issue by biting back? I love when people say canine teeth or this, that, the other. If somebody bites you with any kind of teeth, it's gonna hurt. It's a fact, especially if they can apply any sort of pressure that you can feel that brings discomfort. It's gonna hurt. So somebody that can really bite you and really take a chunk at you, imagine how that's gonna feel. And I'm saying that in a metaphorical sense, semi-literal, but more of a metaphorical sense, because I need people to understand that every day people bite you or try to. They gnaw at you, nibble at you. Right before I went live with this, I was outside. I had went downstairs, you know, and a homeless dude outside. I'm walking back up, and dude, like, I'm carrying some stuff, and dude was like something something monkey, and before I knew that, I was like, nigga, your mama. He was like, oh, I didn't say nothing. I was like, man, fuck all that and fuck you. I see you over here again, I'm gonna scrape your ass. That's exactly what was said. I don't want to try to bleep it out or try to change my words up. That's what was said. Because I'm not playing that with people. All that being cool, and I can be cool when it's time to be cool, but hey, you in front of my place where I live, and I know you to be homeless. Had I let him get away with just calling me a monkey without even responding, I could have just knocked his whole head off. But why do that? I put my hands on this filthy, nasty, disgusting body who probably hasn't had a shower in weeks, if not months. Why would I touch that dude? Right on? Had he made any kind of move, any one of them, it would have cost him dearly and greatly. But again, that's because I operate a certain way. I believe in the things that I'm saying. I'm not a kind of person who's going to tell you to do something and then be like, oh no, don't do that. As we get ready to do this stuff and we're going forward and we're reading, because we're already in chapter 24. 25, about to be 26. And we just been streamlining. That's why I ain't been in a rush to read, because I already know what time it is. We're going to be starting to read about people who were bit and don't bite back right away. You see what I'm saying? And it creates an atmosphere of passivity and docility for the children. This is a fact. That's been passed on to us to this day. Right. Roundabout way of saying a lot of things. You know, it's amazing to see how animals conduct themselves when they're by themselves. You see a tiger and a lion are sneaky. Right on? They're not up front. Tigers and lions are, they only, and this is a fact. You can go watch any kind of video. They do not attack most animals that they feel are a physical threat or will give them an actual run for their money up front. They always ambush them. That's why I laugh when people talk about the lion being the king of anything. It's like, no. No. Because the real one can just, they can just come and just take it from you. Right on? Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. You see what I'm saying? Too many videos of buffaloes and other animals punking lions. Right on? Right? Too many videos of one of these animals, just one of them, giving whole small prides of these fucking animals a run for their money. Right. A 1,400-pound or 1,000-pound tiger pouncing on a 100-pound animal is not impressive. But people liken themselves to these things, not understanding their true nature. If they knew the nature of a tiger and a lion was that next to a fucking coward, they would be like, I'm not nothing like that. Right. If you're talking about the ferocity of and violence during combat that they may deal with one another or deal to another animal, that's fine. But if you're talking about their actual nature, they're cowards. But by all definition, they're scary as fuck. A lamb has way more heart than a lion ever will. Way more. And it's not dependent on eating other animals to survive. That's what makes those animals that are clean to eat so much greater than the unclean animals. Right. It's because I don't need them to make it. Right. They're the real savages. You're a savage when you can just eat grass and eat shrubbery and live and get 200-300 pounds on you. And you're growing horns. And you got the temperament of a 5-year-old child. It's just a fact. So when people don't understand these things and they think that they get these things, they're like, oh, that's not true. Name a time when you saw a lion cub be as brave as any regular little animal. That's not a predator. Non-predatorial animals, they don't exercise, they don't live in fear like the other animals do who go on and literally kill other animals to live. They don't live in that kind of fear. Are they protective? Sure, that's an argument or a notion you can make for any living thing. But do they live in fear like a tiger or a lion does? No. And those are some fearful animals. They're literally big ass scaredy cats. It's crazy. And nobody likes to talk about it because, again, they want to, that term lionize is meant to take away from the truth of the matter. I like to use a reference from The Wizard of Oz. Y'all remember the lion, right? What was he lacking? That's right. Heart. Didn't have that. Tin Man didn't have a brain. Or courage, whatever it is. Tin Man didn't have a heart. Scarecrow didn't have a brain. But the cat might as well have not had a fucking heart or a brain. The nigga was a coward. All out. And that is the nature of what you're dealing with. A bunch of lion-like cowards. Tiger-like cowards. They're not dealing with, they don't punch above their weight class, so to speak. They really don't. They don't. This is why they're not a threat. Think about it for a second. If we're talking about the nature of how people operate, we've all seen people who are like this. They'll pick on somebody who's smaller than them. They'll mess with somebody who they think that they can get one over on, i.e., they bite people who they know aren't going to bite back. It's how they do it. That's their nature. We're dealing with individuals who claim to be of a certain type of way, but if you watched how they acted and compared it to other animals, you would know what you're dealing with. For sure, for sure. You don't see rams backing down from people. You don't see rams backing down from anybody. You'll never see it. A ram is not going to be like, oh my God, that's an elephant. I'm scared to death. Ram is like, how can I bring him down? The lion sees an elephant, sees dinner possibly, but is like, I'm not trying to mess with him. See what I'm saying? Oh, but they want the baby elephant though. Ram don't care who wants a piece. That's the difference between somebody who's really about what they're about and somebody who's not. And that's why when people who are bitten in this world and they never bite back. Again, I'm not telling people to go out here, slang dope, shoot somebody in the back of the head, throw somebody out of a window, run somebody over with a car, set their ass on fire, put some motherfucking nitrogen on them. I'm not telling nobody to do nothing crazy. What I'm saying is, if you're dealing with people, I don't care if they're a crow. If this nigga could be a crow, spiritually, but claiming he's a tiger or a bear or whatever, or a bull, right? He can claim he a whale or a shark, whatever, but he's really a crow. If that crow bites you, you need to bite his ass back. You don't peck him back, because his peck is his bite. You see what I'm saying? Word? Bite him back. See if he likes it. But you know, birds have the ability to take flight, to get up out of there, right? So, who do you think the bird-like people are? Them scary ass dudes, too. That's right, because birds are what? Skittish, cowardly. See, when you start to break down the characters, the characteristics, how many people keep pet falcons and pet vultures? Talking about it in groups of them, flocks of them. They don't. Ravens, might not keep them as pets, but they come around because they're smart animals. Squirrels, not really. People might keep foxes. People damn sure keep dogs. Lions and tigers, not so much. Wild boars, not so much. Swines, they do keep. When you can understand what you're dealing with, let's just say I was comparing white folks to swine, right? And I was like, trailer parks where you can find a whole bunch of them and run down towns are nothing more than large pigsties. You could push back if you wanted to. I could claim that all these people who are quick to jet from one spot to another, don't have roots anywhere, are more likened to the birds than any other animals. Because they won't settle their roots. They won't settle down. I'm going from this place to this place to this place. I'm not talking about jobs now. I'm talking about where you live, where you actually habitate at. Yeah. See what I'm saying? It gets deep, don't it? Now, do birds get comfortable in certain places? Yes, they do. But they have migrational patterns. They go where it's warm when it's warm, when it's cold somewhere else. Right on? Exactly. This is a fact. Vultures, falcons, kites, eagles. None of those birds are you going to find just hanging out like that. None of them. There used to be more of them. So the less there are of a certain type of individual, there's enough vultures left on the earth. There's enough falcons left on the earth and kites, but the eagles, there's way less. So again, when you can isolate who, what they are, what you're looking at, how many people are really left this like this one? This is a deep lesson I'm trying to give y'all because a lot of y'all calling people your brothers and your sisters, not realizing like, just for the sake of argument, just to say for the sake of argument that some of the people who sold us to these wicked devils are hyenas, right? Even if you were descended from a group of people who might have been lions at one point or lion-like, what does a lion and a hyena actually have in common? They're mortal. They're mortal enemies. Like those are the kind of animals that I'm glad that they can't think, and I'm glad that they don't have thumbs and fingers, because they would gun each other. The evil they would do to one another, because the hate is real. So again, when you see people who deal with one another, and you're like, why can't they get along? Easy, because they're exhibiting. Right, they was all born in this. So just because you was born in the hood, is everybody born in the hood grow a beard, even a chin strap, even a Fu Manchu? No. Does everybody in the hood have an afro? No. Is everybody in the hood dark skin? No. Is everybody in the hood light skin? No. But you go to certain sections of the hood, you find certain people who exhibit a certain type of way of being, and they all look a certain type of way too. You go anywhere on the earth, it's like this. Where you go to a certain village or a certain villa, right on, right, or a certain town, and the people all look a certain way, act a certain way, and naturally, whenever somebody of a different background comes in, they treat you differently. Why do you think those wolves were tentative with the bull Abraham? Of course, they could overcome him, but one on one, no, no wolf. I don't give a fuck if it's a mountain wolf who weighs 600 pounds, because they get up to like 400 pounds. You know what I mean? Mountain wolf, 350, 400, some shit like that. They get big. Like people think that they only get like 200 pounds or tripping. Like that's like a regular wolf right there. That's like a regular alpha wolf. But like these mountain wolves, some of them are huge. They're like 300, 400 pounds. I'm guessing the largest ones are as big, might be as big as a lion. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as their weight is concerned, they might not be as big as far as like tall, but I'm thinking that some of them really are that big. Like, but there's not nearly as many mountain wolves of great stature as there are a standard lion. That being said, if people are a certain thing and another thing comes in, they're going to respond to that accordingly. A wolf can't go into a town full of heifers thinking that it's all good. Right on? just to find out, oh, there's some bulls that live in here too. Yeah, real bulls, not playing with you. See what I'm saying? Like, not to say that there's towns full of bulls now, but I'm just giving you an example. You can even say swine. A hog is not the kind of animal that's just gonna let another animal kill it. There's a couple videos on the internet of pigs fighting off bears. Bears. I'm pretty sure there's probably a few of them fighting off wolves too. They're ferocious animals. A wild ass is a ferocious animal and a fierce defender. They. It's said that getting a guard donkey is cheaper than you getting a high pedigree guard dog to fight against the wolf, or a wolfhound. Like, spend $650 for the donkey, you're gonna spend thousands and thousands for that dog. It's just a difference, and the donkey's gonna live longer, and it's smarter than the dog. Right? They just make way more. They're noisy, and some people just don't want to deal with that. But in the truth of it all, though, that donkey's one of those. If he's bitten, he's biting back. Right on. They're not playing. They're not playing again. Like, we're dealing with people who can't understand this because we're all working with a set of teeth. We're like, it doesn't make sense to call somebody a raven or a vulture. We all got teeth. That's a beak. We could go into mannerisms about how people peck at their food. All kinds of things. We can talk about actual mannerisms. Some of these birds, though, gulp shit down. Do they not? Just scarf it down. You ever seen an eagle eat something? A falcon eat something? It's not pecking at it. It's taking chunks and knocking it down. So again, certain mannerisms, you would not be able to distinguish one from the other. You have to actually watch people and what they do. You know how I know that a whole bunch of these folks are swine and rats and weasels and shit like that? Because of how they eat. Yeah. White folks will eat anything. That's a swine all over it. They'll devour me and you if they could. Right. Before I get ready to roll out in the next handful of minutes, I just got to let y'all know this right here. It's always going to be a blessing and an honor to speak to my people on any level. Because I'm not afraid. We do die one day. You leave this earth. Whether it be your will or against it, you're leaving. You have to go. We all have to go eventually. So to get upset or to get beside ourselves about this shit would just be so stupid. I'm telling y'all this right here. This is one of those ones where I want you guys to bridge it with the information that you've already got and start to really look at what I'm talking about. Some of these people have not been changed that much yet. But they've been changed enough. They were already so much different, so much so that Rebecca cannot be a bull. It's impossible. She can't be a bull. Want to know how I know that? Because if she was a bull, they would have made more bulls. Wow. Is she herself a black boar? Now, I'm not saying that there's no darkness, no evil within the bloodline of sin. That's not what I'm saying. But if the people that were descended were people that were, let's just say, let's argue, for the sake of argument, that Abraham's father, Terah, was not a white bull himself, even though I believe he was a white bull. Let's just argue that anybody in that structure was not a white bull, right? Eventually, the white bulls that they were, Abraham was born as one. Let's talk about the spiritual essence now. We're not talking about your physical visage, which I do think some of this does apply to that, but we're just going to talk about essence of what a person is. When you have someone who has been, what's the words I want to use? Who has been I can't say altered. I don't want to use the word changed, but I would like to use the word altered. And now we're going to talk about epigenetics, right? Which is when genetics that are recessive or non-dominant present themselves, i.e., two dark-skinned people that have a light-skinned parent. So one might have a light-skinned father, one might have a light-skinned mother, and you can pick whether it's the man or the woman, and they have children. They're both darker skinned, and the baby comes out lighter skinned, but looks just like them. Happens all the time. Happens. Can't stress this enough. Happens all the time to black people. All the time. Um. So it's different when you are able to look at this and tell yourself the truth. Abraham is a bull. Isaac is a bull. Abraham, from his loins, it doesn't tell us, see again, the book of Enoch doesn't go into telling us who the other children are, what kind of animals they are. But one can ascertain when you read the Bible and read the story in the book of Enoch that his other children become tiger-like. Now, anybody who knows anything knows that tigers and lions, they've argued for a long time which one came first. But they believe that lions are the elder of the two. I believe that they're two different genealogies and genera. I believe that they're completely different. You know, you're trying to get me to believe that a zebra and a lion had babies or something like that. I mean, like it's just, you know what I mean? Like there's no animal that I can see a lot. Because even if you try to say a leopard, well, you're telling me that the spots straightened out. Like I mean, plausible, but it's tough. It's tough. That's a tough one for me to accept. Like that's like how people don't understand how a giraffe. We call it a giraffe, but in the Bible it's called a camel leopard. A camel leopard. People will be like, "What's that?" I just told you it's a giraffe. Right. Does a giraffe not have spots like a leopard? That's the word. And do a giraffe in the face not look like a freaking camel? A camel and a giraffe in the face look just alike. Only one has the little horn things on top, and the other one has like a wider profile at the face. But they both do look just alike. And one has, looks like model like baby doll eyelashes. But other than that, they look just alike. That being said, do you guys not believe that if you were bitten and you don't bite back, you shall be eaten? Do you not believe that? I haven't had to read any of the scripture. I don't want to take away from the story that's about to be being told. Isaac is not the reason for why Esau is biting back even though he bit first. Hmm. His first bite was selling his birthright. Now remember, he's going to get mad at Jacob soon enough for not only getting his birthright from up under him, but then also the blessing. Now, why this is so important is because we have people who do not they don't understand, they don't understand how important that is. The earth is so convoluted with nonsense. People think that you can buy people with money. You think that you can just buy somebody with some money. You think you can just say, "Oh, I got hella bread." Oh, they just going, they're gonna give in. Now, some people will. Some people have no courage. Again, you bit them with money, right on. You put the chomp on them with money, and they didn't bite back. They didn't say, no amount of that can buy me. No amount of that will have my services if it's like that. At some point, you have to stand up for yourself, and you can't be a coward. And I know a whole bunch of y'all is praying and hoping and wishing that you just die and go to the grave, and then whatever happens after you die. What a coward way of thinking. It's cowardly. Brothers and sisters, it's not just y'all who will be listening to this, but evildoers too. They done got millions and millions and millions of dollars off of the things that I have said. I blessed them. And I can't even get a grunion, which is a fish that's smaller than an anchovy, just in case you're wondering. Jed Clampett. They wouldn't even give us a grunion. It's like that. But as I continue to bless them with a little bit of knowledge that I have, I ask that my people be ready to bite back. This is not your fight. This fight in this country is not your fight. If you truly believe in the Most High God, you know that this is not your fight. If you believe in the Most High God, you know that all this is meant to distract you from what you're supposed to do, which is making yourself in a better position to serve Him. But because they want you to be caught up in all these things, again, they're biting you, my people. They're biting you. And you've let them consume a great deal of you because you've never bitten back. It's time to bite back. It's time to sink your teeth into something because they're sinking theirs into you. With that said, may tomorrow be better than today, and may your next week surpass the last. I salute you. I salute you again. I salute you once more. May you really know that only those with a healthy appetite will survive, my friends, my brothers, my sisters. Trust and believe.